What's happening, Shredder Nation? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to episode number 108 of Living the Shredder Life. I'm your host, Coach Jesse, and I am really excited to be here with you tonight. I know I say that every single time I get on here. I'm genuinely really excited to be here with you, sharing this opportunity of the ER Shred, the community, the lifestyle movement that we've created is just seriously one of the most proud things that I've ever been a part of. The life-changing transformations that we've seen through people's lives now over the last 2.5 years, they are just undeniable. I mean, they are simply undeniable what's happening. And my two guests tonight are living proof of exactly what can happen when we just simply love our bodies the way that they need to be loved. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You know, I think this world that we live in complicates things. And really, it's not that complicated when we think about it. Like the human body is very complicated. It's very intricate. It's very detailed. But in the general scheme of things, I think that this whole industry makes this stuff too complicated, and it really doesn't have to be that way. So I'm really excited to share with you guys the story. We've done an interview in the past. This is their second time on the show, and I'm excited to have them back to relaunch this show because it's been a couple weeks now that we've kind of taken a break. We had to reorganize some life things, reorganize some things within the group, and now here we are, full steam ahead. So welcome back, James and Jennifer Burch. I'm excited that you two are here.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You know, I titled this, I said episode 108 with Australian legends, James and Jennifer Burch. And I really, I know legend is a cool thing that, Australia, I feel like everybody's legends, right? But for me, when I think of what you guys have done and in the example that you guys show, I really do mean that. And I genuinely want to tell you that because, I know people think I'm joking, but like, you are my goal. Like you really are my goal. I mean, James, you are, in your 70s, you're crushing a physique competition that you just on a whim. Well, Jennifer kicked your ass into doing that. Let's just right. So we already know that story from last time. But I mean, to see your transformation from, when did you start this? Only a couple months ago, right?
Actually, what was it? October the 28th.
October the 28th is when you started getting into this side of, right? Has it already been now? Oh my gosh. Wow. So October, right? So not too long. And the transformation that you've been able to make has been nuts. Jen, you just keep looking like you're getting younger and younger and have more energy. And it's just mind blowing to me to see this. And I really believe that it's a goal of mine. I don't think that. Well, share with everybody your guys' motto. What's your motto? Because I love your guys' tagline, your slogan.
You're never too old, you're never too young, and it's never too late to take control of your health and fitness.
Absolutely. And why does that mean so much to you, Gene? I mean, you say that with such conviction. What is the meaning behind that for you? What motivates you and fuels you? Because I feel like so many people lose steam, right? They get going and then they lose the steam. But I mean, you got that slogan that really just, I know it's got some meaning to it. So do you mind sharing, like, what does that mean to you guys?
Yeah, well, I think for the never too old, I know I look back, say 8.5 years ago at age 64. And I was overweight, really couldn't do a whole lot. I would go to the gym and come home even more tired. And I just assumed that it was part of the aging process. If I had, different, aches and pains, oh, well, it's just, I'm just getting old. If someone say, well, let's go and do this. Well, no, I don't feel like doing that. I'm a little too old to be able to do that. So that's the never too old. And then as far as you're never too young, again, I think because society has put so much out there in front of us, particularly with, the fast food, the fast life, et cetera, young people have sort of bought into that. And as far as it's never too late, I think once you wrap your mind around the fact that, yes, you can do something to make a change, you quickly realize that, well, age is not the factor. It's really your own mindset that sort of holds you back.
I think we've been, what's the word? Believe that, when you get old, you become frail, you become forgetful, you're not able to learn new things. It's just to accept it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think that is, Jen? I mean, we're like, for you guys, right? Before this transformation, before you guys, James, before it was too late, right? You thought it was too late. I was just getting old. Like, this is just the way it's going to be. There's millions of people. I mean, millions of people that think this, that believe this. They fully believe this, right? It's like, I'm 60, so I'm just supposed to be in pain every day. My joints are supposed to hurt. I'm not supposed to be able to, have extra energy to do the exciting things. And here you guys are working out majority of the week, right? I mean, James, you're adding freaking lean muscle as we speak at 72 or 73?
72.
72 years old, you're adding lean muscle when everybody else is going backwards and experiencing what's called sarcopenia, which is the natural loss of muscle, and you're gaining it. I mean, it's just nuts, right? Like, where do you think this comes from, guys? Like, why are so many people stuck? Where was it for you guys? What got you to that point where you just like believed that it's like, oh, I'm getting older?
I think we trusted the process and gave isogenics a try almost 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And once we saw the benefit, it's like, well, you're starting to feel good. Keep going.
Yeah, I think, prior to that, I guess to more address your question, I think it's almost like that herd mentality. You're around people that look the same. You're around people that feel the same. You're around people that have the same complaints about, well, we can't do this, my joints ache, et cetera. And you just assume that, well, that's the way that everybody, feels once they, get up into a certain age, or that's, if you're young, well, this is the way you feel as you move along that age continuum. And then what you see on TV, you see, the different ads, you look at movies, TV programs, and you see how, people are portrayed there. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, you just assume that this is just the way it's supposed to be.
And the easiest solution for most is to go to the doctors to get a pill to fix what they think is wrong and ail them.
Right.
It only just, it just covers the stuff. It doesn't actually help them fix it.
Do you guys, do you think that that's all connected? Do you guys feel that that's connected with the message that you just shared, James, about, it's in the media, it's in the marketing, it's in our magazines, it's on the news, it's in the movies that we watch. I mean, for crying out loud, my kid is watching this, informational children's cartoon, and for dinner, we're serving pizza and we're having ice cream, and it's like it's programmed in, and then we wonder why most 3-year-olds are running around like meth addicts, when it comes to sugar, and they're cracked out, like screaming at their mom and dad that they don't want to eat anything, right? And it's like, and then the message that you shared, Jen, it's like, well, people think that when we get sick, or when something happens, or if we can't lose weight, or if we can't this, then the magic answer is just to go to the doctors, right? Like, is that the message that's been programmed into you? Or not now, because I know you guys have been awoken, I don't know if that's the right word, but whatever, awoken, right, to the realness, to the message that I'm trying to scream to everybody. And it's the same one as you. It's never too late. It's definitely never too early. The earlier, the better, actually, according to research, right? I mean, people don't realize that, for instance, dementia and memory loss and brain problems and mental disease. Do you now know that science shows that takes on average 20 to 25 years? So if you're presenting at 60, that means that in your 30s, you were starting this vicious process. And I'm sure for most people, it's been happening beforehand, right? And I mean, is that just like, is that where people are stuck? Do you think? Is that where you guys were stuck before you found the solution? Was just from all this marketing and media and it's hard to know, right? Like it's hard to know the truth, right?
Yeah, well, definitely. And again, as a disclaimer, the ER shred protocol and using the isogenics products doesn't cure an ailment. But, when I go back 9 years, I have been on, blood pressure medicine for probably 20 plus years. I was taking medication for joint aches and pains. My doctor had indicated to me that my hips were bad to the point where I would need hip replacement. I was hobbling around, couldn't bend over to tie up my shoes. And now when I look back, it's hard for me to believe and imagine that was me and that was my mindset.
Right.
8+ years ago.
And he also sent you to a cardiologist because he had breathing problems, but not once did they mention you need to lose weight.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's like gave him a tablet to try and help him, but that actually had a bad effect on him, so he stopped. But that's the mentality. That's give you a pill. That's to find out why, instead of saying, well, maybe you do need to lose weight.
And one of the things I did, Sean, was when Jennifer finally pushed me to start using the isogenics products, and I began to feel better, I decided to do a little research of my own. And so for 2 months, I would take my blood pressure morning, midday, and evening. Mm-hmm. And gradually I saw my blood pressure returning to the way it was when I was in my 20s and 30s. And so after the 2 months, I met with my GP and I said, well, guess what? I said, this is my blood pressure for the last 2 months. And he checked it and he was astonished. And he said, well, why don't you just discontinue that and just keep monitoring it? And if it stays the way it is, you don't need to be on that blood pressure medicine anymore.
Unbelievable. Crazy, right? All because you took a shot, but right. and I'm thankful that you guys did, but sadly the reality is that so many people, it's hard for them to wrap their minds around it, right? It's hard for them. And I know, Jennifer, you were the one that went first. What got you started? I mean, if somebody's stuck right now, and they're in that spot, reverse back 8 years ago, you feel lost. You feel like this is just the way that life is supposed to be. No matter what I do, nothing's working. And I mean, if you guys haven't seen James's and Jennifer's before and after picture, that one that you posted of him from the very beginning to now, I mean, it's just nuts, right? I'm looking at one of recent to recent. When I say recent to recent, like October to now, from when you started in this mission, and I'm just like, I'm going to show it to people in a second, but I mean, I'm just like, damn, like, holy good gosh, right? Like, this is nuts. And this all happens, right? Obviously you worked hard. Obviously you worked out. Obviously, you put the effort in, but really, this really comes down to the fact of you choosing to simply fuel your body the right way is really the main contributor, right, to this. I mean, you went up almost 1,000 calories. You added 1,000 calories to your daily diet and you got slimmer, lost more body fat, and gained more lean muscle, right? Which is like, I feel like what every guy is trying to tell me, I want to lose weight. I want to gain muscle, right? Well, James did it at 72 years old. Jennifer's aging in reverse, feeling better, dealing with stomach issues, healing bloat. I mean, the human body, what people don't realize, is made to heal. But I feel like what you guys are explaining, and just through my years of research and now even learning more about the devious methods of how scientists are paid off, journals are paid off, medical schools are paid off, the books that are written. I mean, it's such a crazy system. I have to pay on top of my insurance. I'm now paying out of pocket to see a direct care professional in the functional medicine space, and I can't use insurance, for crying out. Like, I can't use healthcare to actually be healthy, because they're not going to diagnose me or put me through a bunch of tests. They're going to be my actual healthcare provider. They're going to work with me. They're going to be my partner. They're going to make sure that me and my family is taken care of, and we're engaging in optimal health, and I have to pay extra money for that. It just seems ass backwards, doesn't it? Like, and this is why it's so hard for so many people. Did you guys, I mean, I'm getting more mad. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting more mad the more that I learn.
I have one more thing to say, because even with travel insurance, we're going to be going on a cruise, but because James is over 70,
right,
his health insurance for travel insurance is high, which is so ridiculous. But you've got someone who's younger who's got heaps of health issues, but to me, it's discrimination. We need to get over that. Getting old means you're going to have so many other issues, but in fact, it's not the case. To me, it's definitely discrimination.
It is straight bullshit. It is straight bullshit. I'm just me, guys. I'm just gonna say it how it is. It's straight bullshit. I mean, here you are, James. You're in, amazing metabolic health. 93.2% of the population in America. I don't know what Australia is, but I know it's probably not that far behind. You guys are a little healthier, but it's getting there, right? I know England and London, and England used to be one way, and now they're catching up to America. Mexico just took over the fattest nation. I mean, it's spreading worldwide. Anybody that adopts the Western way of living, it's just, health is going to the shitter. I mean, it's just gone downhill. Statistically, you can look at it, graphs, you can look at it, and it's just crazy, right? But here you are paying more money. You're metabolically healthier than probably most 30 and 40-year-olds that are going to be on that cruise ship, and you have to pay more money just because you're 70 years old. Like, it's just crazy, right? And why are we talking about this? Because this has so much to do with the mindset. And I feel like if people can just wrap their mind around get your mind out of this illusionary picture of what's being sold to you from big pharma and big food and trillions of dollars, and you realize that there's this other side that they don't want you to be on. And in fact, they're even going to charge you more money. Like, you're getting charged more money and you're healthier. I'm getting charged extra money to do the right thing. Right? Do you know how much money, James and Jennifer, the three of us save from the overall spending budget? The trillions of dollars that are put into unnecessary chronic health spending in all of our countries to treat people that have preventable diseases or reversible diseases like type 2 diabetes and even most autoimmune diseases. I was just listening to Dr. Mark Hyman, and he's like, look, here's the deal. Autoimmune disease, some cardiovascular, 16 different forms of cancer, migraines, dementia, autism, different levels of autism, they say is affected now by food. I mean, all kinds of stuff, right? And we look at this and it's like, can this really be? Is it so simple that, and then we're just being brainwashed because of all the trickery, you know what I mean? And I mean, this is a big can, I know it's a big loaded question, but it's like, is that what people are stuck at? And I feel like us talking about it might just get somebody else to go, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. If these guys are doing it and we're seeing all of this, then maybe there's hope, right? And I hope that that's what people can get from this is when they look at you guys and see what you guys are doing with your life and the new uncoverings and the new learnings that you're bringing through your journey, they can go, wow, there is hope. Like, it doesn't have to be this way. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be this way, So I love that you guys are willing to talk about this. I can't thank you enough. It's really awesome.
I guess, again, having been in that mindset, 8+ years ago, I can sort of understand how a lot of people, feel, and they're so reluctant to step outside that lane. give you an example. There is one gentleman that has started the ER shred, but I approached him 3+ years ago about the isogenics nutritional system.
Yeah.
And at that time, he didn't want to have a barber. He said, well, his wife was doing this, and he was, blah blah blah. And so I never really said anything to him again. But then one day, I'm at the gym, and he was in the gym, and I just walked by, and I said hello, and he said hello, and then Jennifer came over and started talking. And I still didn't say anything about what I was continuing to do. And as I was walking away, he said, well, James, I want to talk to you about, that program.
Yeah. It just, it takes that one thing, right? Like, it's like but 3 years, right? 3 years people are stuck there. And I mean, gosh, look at what we can do for people in 11 days and 21 days.
But the other kicker is, Jesse, is you've heard about that diabetic drug.
Ozempic.
Yeah, well, he was doing that. And when he told me what the cost was, I was just, blown away. And then I'm looking at, what it's going to cost you to do the ER shred versus what you were spending on that.
How much was it, James? How much?
It was like $300, almost $400 a month to do that. And again,
so that's about $125 a week, because it's a weekly injection. It's a weekly injection, and it's crazy. It's crazy to me how this is going down right now, and people don't even realize what's happening. Let's not even get into the ridiculous side effects of that drug. Okay, let's just talk about like what people don't see and don't hear about. So we're now getting to a point where this drug company, this pharmaceutical company, is petitioning and lobbying lawmakers to make this, like, they're trying to get that drug paid for by Medicare, Medicaid, and basically the government. Okay. Why are they spending millions and millions and millions of dollars to lobby and promote this drug? Why are they doing that? Because it's supposed to help so many people? No, because the millions of dollars they're spending could potentially turn into trillions of dollars. That is trillions with a T, okay? And when you're dealing with that much money, there is massive, massive amounts of greed, right? So we're dealing with that. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to flip the script and pull the blanket over everybody's eyes right now. And they're trying to say, all of a sudden, they literally have doctors. I don't even know how this doctor can go to sleep at night. Okay? They have doctors that are trying to tell me that, and you and everybody else, that being overweight and being obese can now be tied to genetics. Genetics. I call bullshit. And I'm trying to say, you're telling me that something that's happened only over the last 50 to 60 years is now all of a sudden genetics. We didn't have this problem when you guys were kids. Did you see the amount of overweight and obese people that you see today when you guys were children? No. So you're telling me that 50 to 60 years, trace that back to the 70s and the sugar study with Coca-Cola, and how they paid for that study, and how they paid for it to go in the journals, and how that created the food pyramid, and how that was then weaponized against everybody, and how that then funded Coca-Cola, and how Coca-Cola gets paid 10%, 15% of people in America rely on food stamps. That's their nutritional program. 10% of that is used to buy sugary beverages.
Yeah.
That is directly correlated. Then, when they found out that that was a big thing and people tried to fight against it, there is documentation of Coca-Cola in the same meeting room with the NAACP. Get this one, James, right? This is friggin' nuts, right? Why are those two organizations in the same room together? I don't know why. $8 million. Why? And they were paid to then say that people who fought against this, we are taking away their right of choice, and that is some form of racism because we're going to fight against it. This is literally the sleazy stuff that goes on in DC think tanks and lobbyist groups and the Heritage Foundation and these organizations, right? And why are we talking about this? Because people need to know. They need to know the reality, because if they don't know these things and they're not lucky enough to meet somebody, Jennifer, like you met, and then they weren't open-minded enough at that point in time to say yes, they would never know, right? Because really, if you weren't in that situation of open-mindedness, rock bottom, at a place where you were just like, okay, I'll try whatever, you might not have never gotten into this, and then you would have never convinced James, and then you guys wouldn't be where you're at today. So that's why I think it's so important that we talk about these things, because if people aren't sure or don't know where that is, but we can't fall into these traps anymore. You know what I mean? I think that's why it's so important that we have to spread this message and get ER Shred out to anybody who will listen, because it's really about finding your unique way, you know, and it doesn't have to be in a doctor's office, and it doesn't have to be with 5 or 6 different pills, which the average person is on, right? It doesn't have to be spending $400 a month for a shot that you're on for the rest of your life. And mind you guys, do you know they're fighting to create this marketing campaign now where they can classify obesity as genetic, because if they do that, it's a loophole that they can get into the laws, and that law will then allow them to charge the government and collect. And you know what? There's no limit on what they can charge for this drug here in America. Free enterprise, right? It's patented protection. So you can charge X amount of money, which is why when you go to the hospital here, they'll literally try to charge you like $130 for an Advil if you have to take an Advil. I mean, it's the most outrageous, ridiculous thing that you've ever seen in your entire life. And yet we're just falling for it day after day. Day after day, day after day, day after day, we're falling for it. And I just keep watching more people fall into this trap of death, is what I call it. And it makes me sad, because it doesn't have to be that way. People can thrive like you guys are. People can live like James. You're gonna be lifting weights well into your 90s. Jennifer, you're gonna be doing the same. Like, that's what life to me is about, right? It's not about expanding the length of your life, but can we expand that and the quality of your life, right? And that's where all these new things coming in now. I'm sure you guys have heard biohacking, and Dr. Mark Hyman just wrote a book on longevity, the science of longevity. And really it just comes down to proper fueling, you know, getting sunlight, getting out in nature, getting some exercise, having a community, you know, feeling a sense of need and want. I mean, these are the things that they've now tied together in science to show not just a lengthening of life, but a quality of life. So your chronological age will keep going. We can't do anything about that.
Right.
But your biological age on the inside, I don't know if you've ever had that blood work test done, James, but I'm willing to bet that your blood work would come back and say that your biological age at this point right now, with your stats and the muscle mass that you have and the body fat leanness that you have, I bet you would be in your 50s.
Well,
I'm willing.
That's what I tell people. I said, you know, right now, I probably feel better than I did when I was in my 20s and my 30s. Because when I was in my 20s and 30s, I couldn't do a pull-up. Now I can jump up there and do 20 pull-ups with ease, and even add some weight to it. But again, I think it goes back to, again, you know, that herd mentality. I think so many people are just so afraid to step out of that lane that they're in. I see so many people coming to the gym, doing the same thing, looking the same, feeling the same. And I can see people looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and I'm saying, well, you know, we both been here for 5 years,
right?
And I've gone from here to here,
right?
And you still flatline. thinking that it's the exercise
Right.
as opposed to it's the nutrition that's
Yeah.
going to make the difference.
Right. Crazy. I see it all the time too. I mean, I work out a lot at home now, but when I was at the gym every single day, it blew my mind. I mean, I'd be there. I see people religiously every day, and I'm like, wow, you're super committed. Like, congratulations. But yet you've been here an entire year and you haven't changed one bit. Maybe you went up 5 pounds in a dumbbell. Okay, you got a little bit stronger, but you haven't physically changed your metabolic health at all, right? Like, are you doing good by exercising? Yes. But could you also be doing damage if not fueling the right way? Because exercise is a stress on the body. 100%, right? 100%. I just want to show this real quick. I don't know if you guys, tell me if you can see this. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, I can see that.
Good golly, look at that. Look at that. This is James. James, tell everybody what these pictures are right here.
Well, those are pictures that I take in preparation for the physique competition.
The calories.
And you can look at and see on the left when I was on low calories, and then you look at the changes when my calories increase. And actually, when Calvin first shared that with me, I was sort of shocked. I'm thinking, well, eating all of those calories, I would have the reverse. And he said,
right.
Well, a lot of people think that. So again, that mindset. So now I know that if I eat more, it's not going to have the effect of putting on unnecessary fat and make me sluggish and feel. In fact, I feel more energetic. I have more giddy up and go. And just being able to, I guess the good thing about, once you get your head around what your body needs in the form of nutrition, you just wake up every morning. When I wake up every morning, I'm just still amazed. I said, I feel so good.
Yeah.
And this is a feeling that I want to have each and every day.
Yeah.
I went to watch my son practice basketball. He's 8 years old. And his mom sort of looked at me. She said, well, James, you need to get back into it. And I said, well, yeah, I could probably still get out there and do a little 3-on-3 half court. I don't know if I want to run up and down the court, but I could still sort of hold my own against some of the younger guys out there.
Yeah.
And going back to the shred, it's such an easy system to follow. It's super easy. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
You don't have to overthink it.
Yeah. And again, I think that's maybe why so many people, because they are in that lane that they have been programmed to be in, when you introduce something, and when I do my videos, I always say it's a simple yet effective protocol that gets results, but more importantly, it's sustainable. Something that you can easily incorporate into your everyday life. And again, we're going to be going on the cruise, and I guarantee you, when I come back from that cruise, I will have enjoyed myself, but I probably will end up the same weight or possibly even a little less, because I'm going to still sort of maintain that protocol. So I can eat, a dessert here and there. I can have a few cocktails here and there if I choose. So I'm not depriving myself of anything.
It's a lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah. But at the same time, I know that as long as I stay within this lane that I've created for myself, that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the mentality that I as a coach pray that everybody will one day come to learn, because I see so many people get stuck, right? So let's talk about this a little bit. You guys, how long now have you guys been doing ER Shred as a whole?
Probably about 14 months.
Yeah,
14 months. So we're talking almost solid year and a half.
Yeah.
Almost a solid year and a half. That's a pretty big feat for, I don't like the word I'm not even going to say it because it's not even like ER shred is not even close to that. But this is like, you know what I'm going to use. Like I can't even say it because we're not even close to that, right? Like you said it best, Jennifer. You said it's a lifestyle, right? So let's talk about that a little bit because I feel like a lot of people, they come into this, right? They get started. And I'm sure just like with you guys, you were super excited. You get going, you know, you do the 11-day, you do the 21-day, you do whatever path is you feel that's best for you. There is no right and wrong, by the way. It's whatever way is going to work for you. I would actually suggest that you probably do 21 days of shake and stake. You really allow your body to reset itself. You pull out all the toxins, you pull out the sugars, the dyes, the seed oils, the carcinogenic things, the flours, the grains, the stuff that humans aren't designed to consume. And you stop putting that poison into a Ferrari and you stop junking up that engine. And then you just give it the natural food that it needs, right? The vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients, the trace minerals that we're designed to thrive off of. And you do that and you get yourself to that. And then if you want to go a little more hardcore and you want to push it, you can do a hardcore 11-day. You can throw some intermittent fasting in there. There's amazing science behind that, the way that we do it with a 24 or 48-hour fast, you know. But talk about that journey a little bit, Jennifer. Talk about like what it's been like. You know, I know you started off gung-ho, you know, did anything waver? Was there ups and downs? Did you feel like you hit a stop sign and had to do a U-turn? Like kind of share. Nothing for you. You're shaking your head. No,
nothing changed for me. So I started off because we were going backwards a little bit. We were vegans before. So, you know, we didn't eat any meat, fish. We ate all the grains and everything. So we were doing the right thing. So when I decided to get the ER shred, it was a bit hard to start off with the meat to start off with. So I started with fish, the salmon.
Okay.
And then eventually added the meats. You know, gave that a go. Did the cleansing, did the 11 days. But now it's just a lifestyle, really. I haven't wavered. I haven't sort of said, oh, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I can't be bothered. It's just too hard. It's just so easy. It's just part of it everyday lifestyle. We just follow that. We add one thing in at a time, like avocado is fine with me. It's not a culprit.
And for me, Jesse, again, you know, Jennifer started, but, you know, I continue to eat my lentil chili and my tofu that I wanted to taste like, you know, chicken, etc. until I finally one evening we were out at a restaurant and I said, okay, I'm going to order a burger with cheese. And I looked at that burger and I looked at it and then finally cut a piece out and slowly put it in my mouth and started chewing it. It's like, well, it doesn't taste too bad. So I gradually decided, okay, I'm going to give the ER shred a try. And again, as Jennifer said, you know, I found it to be very simple, very easy to follow. And once I started to feel a different way, because one of the things that I noticed, and I didn't really notice it, you know, during the first couple of weeks, but then Jennifer and I were just sitting around talking one day, and I had my pack of Mobic on the counter, and I looked at it and I said, well, you know what, Jennifer? I haven't had to take any Mobic, you know, for probably the last couple of months now. And I said, you know, my shoulders are not, you know, aching anymore.
Yeah.
So again, for me, it was, okay, now I'm feeling good. I've got a simple blueprint. I don't have to spend all that time in the kitchen with the veggies and all that other stuff. I don't have to end up throwing out a lot of stuff at the end of the week because it's gone off.
Yeah.
And no matter where I am, I can get some meat. If I'm on a cruise ship, I can get meat. If I'm on holiday in Malaysia, I can get meat. If I go back to the States, we can get meat.
Yeah.
And then I introduce one carbohydrate item. And pretty much it's been, you know, the spinach.
Yeah.
But now, even with the spinach, I will probably only throw that in maybe once or twice a week, or not even that often sometimes. But the meat has been the staple. So now I'm eating steak, I'm eating fish, I'm eating chicken, and I'm even eating pork cutlet, something that I never ate before.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're trying to tell me is that the whole storyline of Popeye and spinach is nonsense. You're trying to tell me that Popeye really ate meat, not spinach. That's what you're trying to tell me?
I guess, Sean, when we talk with people, they say, well, what about, the veggies? I said, well, basically the nutritious meal replacement shakes will give you pretty much all of the carbs that, most of us will ever need. And I said, if you look at the ingredients in there versus what you would have to eat in order to come up with that, there's no real comparison.
But that goes back to the programming of what we've been believe. You have to have veggies every day. Growing up, you have to eat your vegetables.
Yeah, eat your veggies. I used to tell Noah when he was over here, I said, Noah, you got to eat that broccoli now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he loves
what? You know what's crazy? It's crazy, guys. And I know we've been kind of, I've been throwing a lot of these things in, but what people actually don't even realize is, how that whole recommended, no, listen, let me just make this as a disclaimer. There are certain things in vegetables that are extremely beneficial. There are phytonutrients, there are phytochemicals, there are polyphenols. Science has also now shown that if you buy the better quality, like regenerative farm meats, you can actually get your polyphenols from the meat because those animals are eating a variety of vegetation. They're eating 18 to 19 different things, and their bodies are designed to ferment that in their stomach. That's why they have 4 chambers, right? That's why a cow has chambers. We only have 1, right? We have a stomach. They have chambers that ferments this stuff, and that fermentation process then uploads those things. So it's not about a demonization of vegetables, but when you look at certain ones and you look at certain things, I give you all the credit. I personally would not put spinach in my body, to be honest with you, because I know that the phytic acid from there can actually leach things out of my bones. So it does the opposite. And people go, what about the calcium? I go, listen to me. If you don't understand the chemistry, you don't understand the chemical breakdown. Like, first of all, do plants have, essential nutrients and stuff? Yes. Does that mean that you as a human can absorb them though? Not necessarily, right? And I think that's the disconnection. And what most people don't realize is that whole recommendation of eat 5 to 7 servings a day, when that was put out into the stratosphere, that meeting, there was not one dietitian or nutritionist or functional medicine doctor present in that meeting. It was a plastics company, it was a shipping company, and it was something else. And it was like, how can we get more shipping? Well, you think about this. Well, if they can promote that message and they can get people to believe it, right? Now we have this industrialized crop, right? We're controlling farming. Now we add money to shipping. Now we add money to plastic packaging. Again, trillions and trillions of dollars at play. And that's how it was all started. And I don't even think people realize, like, that's where these things came from, right? And then, like, it got put into one journal. Who knows if that journal was bought and paid for? And then all of a sudden it was put out in the media. And then all of a sudden it was, everybody says, eat this, right? Mind you, if we eat it, we're bloated. We can't go to the bathroom, right? We're in the bathroom for hours instead of a minute like we should be. We got gas. We smell like a cesspool. And it's like, oh, but I got to do this. I got to eat them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just nuts to me, right? And I fell for all this too. I fell for all this hook, line, and sinker. I lived years of my life like this. I thought it was the right thing. I used to convince my daughter that the smellier you are, the healthier you are. That was protein. That was vegetables. That was fiber, right? And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even know. But that's what I was taught, right? That's what I was taught in nutrition. That's what I was taught until I had this realization, like you guys as well. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Where did this all come from? Where did this all come from? And when you start connecting the dots and you start to trace it all back and you see where it all came from, and then really you do the ultimate test, which is what you guys have done, and you put yourself into the mix and you just give it a try, right? Even though it seems crazy, even though it seems like it's not the norm, right? I mean, we have people in our group that are literally showing their blood work. They're showing the reversal, and it's not because of this program. It's not because of this program. I just want to make that very, very clear. This program is the vehicle to find your blueprint. This program is the vehicle to find the foods that are going to serve your body. And when I say serve, I mean help it perform at peak optimal levels. And when your body's performing at peak optimal levels, it's going to naturally heal itself because that's what we're designed to do. Like as a human being, that's what we're designed to do, right? And that's kind of like this whole context, but it's like you'll never know that if you just stay in the herd, right, James? Like if you just stay in the herd and you're too scared to ask the questions, God forbid you question a doctor. God forbid you say, well, why do you need to do that? Why are we doing that procedure? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? You know what I mean? Like I questioned my son's pediatrician. He got an ear infection, right? Thankfully, I have the training that I have, and I saved my son's microbiome. I don't even know if I've ever shared this story, but I took him to the doctor. He got a massive ear infection. Okay. I went to the doctor and I couldn't get him to get cleared up with all my naturopathic, homeopathic remedies, right? Like I tried my stuff and he was getting sicker. And I was like, oh gosh, I just need to make sure that this isn't a bacterial infection. Because unfortunately, if it's bacterial, we're going to need an antibiotic intervention at that point in time, right? And that's where I think it's really needed, right? That's where the amazingness of all these advances, that's where it can be beneficial. But I go to the doctor and she looks in his ear and she goes, oh, wow, he's got a massive ear infection and he's got all this congestion, right? And I go, okay, cool. I go, but it's not bacterial. Like we don't have ammonia. We don't have like anything going on in his lungs. She's like, no, just an ear infection and this congestion, right? Now we had just traveled. We took him on an airplane. We put him in a car seat. We drove for 4 hours. We drove him back. His you know what I mean? Like all this, the ailments of the body, right? So I immediately took him to the chiropractor to get his sinuses adjusted. People don't realize that adjustments are connected to sinuses and flowing, right? So we did that. I go to the regular doctor. She prescribes me a decongestion, and I'm okay with that. It's not an antibiotic. That's a decongestion. I can't get my hands on anything like that over the counter, and this poor guy couldn't breathe, right? So I obviously, as a dad, I want him to breathe. Now, here's where a lot of people fall into a trap. This is a good doctor. She has 3 kids of her own. She's a super, super nice lady. So nothing against her. I don't blame her because this is what she was taught. She prescribes me the decongestant, and immediately after, she goes to write me a prescription for an antibiotic. And I said, stop. I go, doc. I just want to clarify. You just told me that this was a viral infection. This is an ear infection, not a bacterial infection, a viral infection. Why in the world are you prescribing me an antibiotic for my son? She looked stunned, like nobody had ever asked her a question before and ever questioned her white coat. And again, this isn't a bash against doctors. I need people to understand this. I just need you to understand what happens, right? How we fall susceptible to this because we're programmed, like Jennifer and James have been talking about. We're in the herd. We don't want to question anything. And by not questioning things, by not challenging the norm, by not saying yes and not having an open mind, you are just putting yourself through more pain. So she goes to prescribe this to me. And I said, no. I go, don't even bother writing me that. I go, it's a waste of tree for you to write me that prescription. She goes, well, some people choose to take it and some don't. I said, doc, I have just spent a massive amount of money and I've worked my butt off for the first year of this dude's life to build his microbiome so he can have a strong immune system. 1 dose of the antibiotic that you're about to give me is going to destroy all of his good gut microbiome and all of that bacteria with 1 antibiotic. I go, and he has an ear infection. There is a scientific report, a published report that took a herbal healing bottle that you can buy. I think it's Nature's Pharmacy or something, and it's like St. John's wort, guys, and like 2 different essential oils. And they did a clinical research study with that oil, a dropper. You put 3 drops in their ear, okay? That oil versus an antibiotic to ear infections. 90% more effective in relieving the pain and healing the ear infection with the dropper compared to 0.1% of a relief with the antibiotic. The antibiotic doesn't even relieve the pain. It doesn't make the ear infection go away, but they wanted to prescribe it to me. And now here's the kicker. The number one reason that people visit the pediatrician, ear infections.
Ear infection. Mm-hmm.
How many millions of children in their first year of life are given an antibiotic and they're prescribed this medicine, and it doesn't even come close to herbal drops that you can drop into a child's ear. And again, this is why it's such an important thing to realize, is that 80% of medical schools don't teach nutrition. They laugh at it. They think it's funny. And this is all being transcribed by money, right? 50% of the funding to medical schools comes from big pharma. 50% of, they don't realize that Rockefeller and the pharmaceutical industry was why the American Cancer Society got started and how it's funded. And these really good organizations that we think are there to protect us, half their money is coming in from big pharma. So it's like, if we don't wake up and realize this and get out of the herd, right? Like, I could have destroyed his microbiome. And what people don't realize is that the average child will go through 1 to 3 doses of antibiotics in their first 2 to 3 years of life. So now their entire microbiome is shot, and we might not see the effect right away, but then 5 years later, 10 years later, now we add in ultra processed foods, we add in sugars and dyes and wheat and all these unnatural things that continues to destroy, and we have no gut bacteria to actually heal us. So now we get sick again. We catch the common cold all the time. We catch the flu. We take these shots. We do all these prescriptions, and it just keeps adding and adding and adding. So no wonder why we get to a point where it's just like, okay, I give up. Can you imagine this? Like, do you see how this is all coming together, right? Like, it's like, no wonder why you guys 8 years ago were at a point where it's like, oh my God, like, this is just the way it's supposed to be. This is just how it is. But we don't trace back those things. You know what I mean? And if I did that, like, I now have to work with people who are 30, 40, 50 years old, who I have to be like, okay, tell me about your first 3 years of life. Because you don't realize that impact carries with you all the way through and presents problems 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And that could be an autoimmune disease. It could be ADHD. It could be asthma. It could be so many different things. And we have like 155 different diseases that are in a medical book that we can just, describe somebody. So you have ABC symptoms. Oh, you have this disease. Well, do you have that disease, or do you just have a bad ratio of gut bacteria? Like, is your body not able to function properly? And that's what I'm so thankful for with people with this program. We don't realize how much Eastern medicine is really wrapped into all of this, and how much functional medicine is wrapped into this, and helping people get to the root cause of what's really causing their lack of energy, or their lack of muscle, or, you know what I mean, their lack of quality of life, and that's the scary story. Like, that's a real life story that happened to me. And I'm just so thankful. And then I'm sad, guys, at the same time, because it's hard as a parent. You guys are parents, right? Like, we want to do the right thing for our kids. We want to make sure that they're healthy. We want to make sure that we're setting them up for success. But when you just have all this manipulation and all these things, and you're programmed to just listen to the white coat and not ask a question, we get ourselves in big trouble. And I mean, if you want to argue with me, just look around, for crying out loud. Like, next time you wander out into public, have a look around. Next time you got to go to the.
We noticed that Jesse, whenever we're out, we I'm always telling Jennifer, I said, all these people, just sort of struggling to walk. They're on oxygen, carrying around
Crazy.
oxygen, and in fact, I'll tell you a little funny story. There is this couple that we met, and so the guy, he's 75, and his wife at that time was 70. So she's looking at me and she said, "Yeah, well, I know I'm much older than you." And so I said, "So how old are you?" And she said 70. I said, "Well, you can address me as sir then." Because I'm actually older than you are. And she was sort of shocked at that.
Yeah. I know, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. And that's why I'm so thankful for people like you guys, seriously, because you guys living the life and being willing to put yourself out there and get on videos. And I know it's relentless. I know it's tiring. I know it seems like we're beating a dead horse. I mean, it's not easy work. It's not easy work, right? And we're fighting against so many years of just misinformation and so much money at stake for these companies and so much false advertising and false marketing. I mean, gosh, they're even paying influencers on TikTok now to promote a certain way and to say a certain thing. And this whole nonsense now about body shaming, like they're like, "Oh, it doesn't matter your size, like as long as you love yourself." Bullshit. Like, that's not loving yourself. That is not loving yourself. Like, I'm not being mean here, but there's nothing healthy about being obese. There is nothing healthy about being overweight. That is not loving yourself. Loving yourself is not poisoning yourself, is not harming yourself. And to me, your rates of chronic disease go through the roof. Your rate of mortality, is much higher. Your length of life is much shorter. So how is that considered loving yourself? And then I'm going to be bullied and tried to be shut up, right? Like I'm going to be pinched because I'm fighting against that. We're changing the mannequins in the stores because the average person is carrying more weight. So we have to apply, we have to adapt to it because we don't want anybody's feelings to be hurt. Well, I'm done with that crap. Like, I'm so done with that crap because that's not life to me. That's not people living their fullest life. Like, when I look at you two, that's living life. Like, having the energy to enjoy each other as a couple, to be there for your children, to be there for your grandchildren, to still live life, to be able to walk and tie your shoes and go to the bathroom on your own and put your own clothes on and still be able to have fun and party and dance and go on cruises. Like, that to me is life. Like, that's loving yourself, right? Not this whole crap of like, oh, don't shame them. And they're turning that into something too. It's like, oh, if you body shame, that's a form of race. And I'm like, what is going on here today? Like, what is this world coming to? Like, it's like everything's ass backwards. Everything's ass backwards, So I just hope and pray that we can help wake more people up. That by people like you sharing your story and all the other people that get on with us that share their story and share their testimonial and share what's possible. Hope is the message. Like, there is hope, right? It's never too late. It's never too early, right? Like, there's hope. There's hope behind all of that, What's been your guys' biggest realizations when it comes to food and what you thought to what you realize now?
Well, I guess the biggest realization for me is that what you put into your body is very simple. Let me rephrase that. The good nutrition that you can put into your body is very simple. It doesn't have to be some fancy recipe. It doesn't have to be all of this variety. One of the things you hear is, well, I get tired of eating, this. I get tired of this. my blueprint pretty much has been the same since I got started with the ER shred protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been wrapped into my everyday life. When I go out, in fact, we were at a restaurant for our Kiwanis meeting, and I'm looking at the menu, and I told Jennifer, I said, well, gee, I don't see, I said, okay, I'm going to get the shrimp, but the other stuff I don't really want. And then I finally looked, and they had white rice, so I just asked the chef, I said, well, you think it's possible that you can just give me just a little small bowl of white rice with the shrimp? And he said, no problem.
Yeah.
So again, simple, easy, yet effective, something that you can easily, and I keep stressing easily, sustain.
Yeah.
Once you get out of that herd mentality of you got to stay in this specific lane and just follow what everyone else is doing. You know, once you create that blueprint and you know that it works for you, why would you want to give it up and go back to the way that you were feeling, not being able to do the things that you would like to be able to do day in and day out? Yeah. And again, I can't stress, it's just such a good feeling when you wake up and you can jump out of bed. You don't have any aches and pains. If you want to go for a jog or a walk or a run, whatever you want to do, you just know in your mind that, hey, there aren't those limitations that you once thought you had because of the age. In fact, I have to say, when I look at myself in the mirror, you know, I have to keep reminding myself, well, you know, you are 72 now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think too, you know, people say, oh, I can't do shakes every day, well, for breakfast, but I love my shakes. You know, when you think about before the 8 years, I used to have toast every day. Well, that was toast every day. But now I have a shake every day. So, and I look forward to it. It's just so delicious, and I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good.
Yeah. Well, I think once you get over that initial hump as well, because I'm the same way as you guys. When I think back, right, to the way that I used to eat and how I trained, you know, especially when I got into running, like I was taught as an ultra runner, like you need carbohydrates. You have to carb load the night before. So I would eat bowls of pasta, right? And every morning before my workout, I would eat a bagel with butter. And I would have that as my energy. And I wasn't fat. I was shredded. Right? But James, at 40 years old, at 38 years old, you know, I had this shoulder injury, right? And I thought that it was because of years of bench pressing heavy weight and lifting heavy weight. I thought it was just part of the process. And I had this clicking in my knee and this knee pain, right? And I did all the foam roller, the physical therapy, the everything, right? I never even put the connection myself. And I went to school for this. I've been trained in this. I've been studying this. I've been coaching people in this. And I was still living that, you know? So it's a real thing that people fall into. And I got to tell you, at 43, right? 5 years later, those things don't bother me anymore. And I still lift heavy weights, and I still run a lot of miles, and I train harder now than I did before. My times are faster now than they were when I was younger. So it's like, as I continue to age, I get better and better and better, right? Where most people are going backwards and backwards and backwards. And it's crazy to me, you know? But yeah, once you have that connection, so I'm like you, Jen, like I can't even think of anything else, you know? Every now and then I'll still have a piece of sourdough. I'll still have, you know, a piece of Ezekiel bread. I'll still put some homemade sprouted granola in my shake. But like, if I don't have that, like I was up at 3:30 this morning. I was on an airplane at 6 o'clock. I would not leave my house without my collagen, without my vitamins, and without my shake, because I know that if I did that, I would feel like absolute crap the rest of the day, right? And to show people, like, I screwed up today. I always have food with me. And for whatever reason, I forgot to put extra food in my backpack, and I put it in my check bag, right? But because I know. Now I'm like you. I look around everywhere. I see people on fire everywhere, right? So especially when I go to the airport, I travel at least once a month, sometimes more. Okay. So I'm always, and every single time I go in there, it blows my mind at 6 o'clock in the morning, the amount of inflammatory garbage that people are putting in their body before they go up 30,000 feet in the air in this pressurized cabin with all these other people. And I don't know what it is about when people travel in an airport, but like everybody thinks that it's okay to have massive drinks. Like I'm seeing people chugging beers that are this big at 6 a.m. in the morning. They're sitting at the bar. I was like, why are we even serving this shit at 6 o'clock in the morning? But that's their breakfast. And then we're eating Chick-fil-A with all these seed oils, or we're eating McDonald's. The line to McDonald's and Chick-fil-A is literally like down the terminal. I'm not even exaggerating. Like this is real shit. Like you guys have seen this, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, every person in here, you know, I look around and I'm like every now and then I see somebody who's like glowing. You know, I met a flight attendant and she was glowing this morning. I started talking to her. She does regenerative farming. She learned all this stuff. She goes back and tells her friend, she's like, oh my God, you got to go talk to this guy. She comes up. She's talking to me about keto. She's talking to me about how good she feels. She's talking about eating high fat and high protein and this and that. Boom, boom, boom. 2 cards. Let's connect. Right. And it's just spreading that word. But it's like, it's crazy to see the difference. Like when I looked at those flight attendants, they are glowing in life. They have energy. They're smiling at 6 a.m. Like me. I talk to everybody, where most people, they say good morning to them and they just go, it's like they're a sloth, you know, like they're like living in like this like bubble of like, whoa, you know, and when you break that open and you experience that, like you said, why would you ever go back? So people say, well, why can't I do it? And I'm like, well, that's just a habit. I'm like, you're in a habit of stopping at the drive-thru every morning. You're in a habit of Starbucks every day. You're in a habit of this. And rightfully so. Like you can have that if you want, right? But what's so hard about adding something in or changing something? Like, again, if you want to change, right? So this is only for people that are ready to be woke up. This is only for people that have an open mind. This is only for people that are done feeling like crap every day, you know, and we're just trying to share with you, you know, again, not to knock anything, not to put it down, but this is just the reality of what goes on, you know? So if we can just get that into somebody's mind, even if it's one person, one more person, one more person, one more person, one more person, then this fight that we're on together, I think is so worth it. You know what I mean? I think is so worth it. And I hope more people choose to feel as amazing as we do every day. I think everybody deserves that. And I think you guys believe that too. I mean, that's why you're on this mission, right? To help as many people as feasibly possible.
Well, that is for sure. And again, you know, I think that's why, you know, doing the videos, putting, you know, the stories out, sharing the information is just to let people, and normally what I end up with is, hey, look, you know, you want to find out more information, you know, I'm happy to share it with you. No pressure. You make the decision if you think it's right for you or not, so that you don't think that I'm trying to force, you know, what I'm doing on you. But have that open mind, take a listen. And if you want to live and enjoy the best version of yourself, then that door is there. And I always say that, you know, the door handle is there, and all it takes is 2 simple steps. Grab that door handle, open the door, and step to the other side to see what's there.
That's it.
And I've also written this down. I've just got here. Healthy aging is a lifelong process. It's never too early or too late to start taking steps towards maintaining a good and healthy well-being.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah. It is. It is for sure. It is for sure. And I mean, we could talk for another hour on all the benefits this has brought to your guys' life. If you guys haven't seen, right before the holiday break, right before Christmas, James and Jennifer were on here again for the first time, and we dove a little bit deeper into their story and really their thing. And this time around, we kind of wanted to dive into some of these topics to really just kind of get out there and get into people's minds, maybe get you thinking differently, show you more of a lifestyle, show you that you guys were healthy, and now I think you're even healthier, right? Like you were healthy when we did that interview. And even from that point in December to now, your health has gotten better. Both of you. Like, I've watched you guys with my own two eyes, so nobody can argue with me because I witnessed this with my own two eyes, which is why it's so hard for me to not fight with people, because I've seen thousands of transformations now with my own two eyes. Like, you can't tell me what I saw and what I didn't see, right? And I have seen quote unquote miracles happen with people doing all kinds of things, all sorts of junk, I'm going to call it. We'll call everything junk, okay? Just to be legal. But junk just magically disappeared, right? All of a sudden, we weren't having these issues anymore, right? Years of pain to no pain. All these numbers and these blood doesn't lie, right? Like people posting their blood, like thinking that, oh my God, I'm gonna eat meat and I'm gonna eat fat and my numbers are gonna go up. And in fact, people show the opposite. And again, I'm not claiming that the ER Shred did not do this, okay? So please don't take this. But eating properly, having the right tracks to run on, getting yourself in the right kind of community like the ER Shred community, which, by the way, is free, scrolling across the bottom of the screen, ershredders.com. Answer 3 simple questions. Boom, you got immediate access. It's that simple. Check it out. Go to ershred.com. I did an interview that's posted on that website with world-renowned international nutrition scientist, physiology research scientist, Dr. Paul Arciero. I highly encourage you to go and listen to that interview. This guy's the man. This is his whole life. This is what he does. He's not tied to our program. He's not tied to our partner Isogenics. He's a third-party affiliate scientist. He doesn't work for any of us, right? And he 100% backs what we're doing. He's like, Jesse, I've been doing this since the 1970s, for crying out, or 1980s, whatever it was, right? He's like, I don't mean to toot your horn. He's like, but this is the way that I live. He's like, I want everybody to understand this. So he's backing what we do. I just encourage you to do what James said. Have an open mind. Put your handle on that, put your hand on that door handle, open that damn thing, kick it down, and just go in, because every single person deserves to feel amazing every day, right? Like, you don't deserve to be in pain. You don't deserve to suffer. You don't deserve to age at the way that people are aging today. You deserve to age like these two. You deserve to age like these two in reverse, biologically in reverse, right? We can't do anything about the chronological age. We can't do anything about that, but we can change other things, right? And look at you, right? And I hope, look at this guy, 70. I mean, come on, for crying out loud. Like, if that's not proof in itself right there, I don't know what else is. So what else can we say? Is there any last things that you guys want to say before we close this out? We've already gone over. I'm fired up right now. It's going to be hard for me to go to sleep. But man, this just riles me up. Go ahead.
Well, Jesse, we'll end it the same way we started, with our favorite motto: you're never too old, you're never too late. Never too young, and it's never too late to take control of your health and fitness.
Absolutely.
And be the best version of yourself and live your best life.
Mm. And that is whatever you, the viewer watching, decides, right?
Yep.
Whatever that is, we support you. So please, please, please go to ershred.com. Join our free group. It's still growing rapidly. It hasn't stopped for 2.5 years. We have not even touched the tip of the iceberg yet. We have not even cracked the smidgen yet. There is so much more to come. There are so many more advances. There are so many more things that we're changing, and we just invite you to come in there, check it out, see for yourself. Your life can radically change. And I'm not talking in a matter of years, people. I'm talking literally in a matter of days. You can radically change your life if you just learn the basic fundamentals of human health, which we teach you for free and give you all the support you will ever need for free. And if you're not completely satisfied with the very minor things that you do purchase, there is also a 100% 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. We are literally throwing you a life saver, a life preserver. And boy, oh boy, do I sure hope you take it. James, Jennifer, I appreciate you both so much. I am so honored and grateful to call you guys friends. I am honored that we're on the same path together. I thank you for your time. You guys are in Australia. I'm here. Notice the difference in light, right? Like we got to go through a lot to make this happen, but I'm so super grateful for you guys. Thank you for continuing to show up in the group. Thank you for serving everybody else. Thank you for putting them first. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for putting yourself out there. And I am your biggest freaking cheerleader. So I appreciate you, and just keep crushing it. Keep living life. Keep smashing it.
All right. Well, thank you, Jesse.
All right, guys. Have an amazing one. Thanks for joining us, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good day.